Welcome back guys, this is Shrikant. Today we are going to talk about SQL and what are the different components of SQL. This is your host SQL is. Let's start. What is SQL? SQL basically stands for Structured Query Language. People sometimes call it as a SQL, sometimes people call it as a SQL. Both the things are correct, so it depends on you how do you want to pronounce. So basically SQL stands for Structured Query Language. It's a domain specific programming language used for managing manipulating the relational databases. So we have multiple relational databases which follow the RDBMS concept like Microsoft SQL Server, then we have Oracle, Postgres, like that, right? So all those basically follow the RDBMS concept. That's the reason those are called as the RDBMS relational databases. Correct. Then to get the data from those relational databases, we have the language called as the structured query language, which basically retrieve the structured data, right? Because when the database, any database which follows the RDBMS concept, which will always store the structured data. Structured data means in a tabular format, right? And then this is the language which will basically use for querying the data. Correct. Then what are the different components of the SQL? There are five important components of a SQL. The first component is called as a data definition language, then data manipulation language, then data query language, data control language, then transaction control language, right? So for example, you are going to create a table. So for creating a table, you need to have a set of commands. So those commands basically come under DDL. When you create a table, then you need to insert the data or delete the data or update the data. That all things come under the data manipulation language. Once you have the data available in your table, then you should have the mechanism how to retrieve the data from the table. So for that we have the data query language DQL. Once the data, you know how to retrieve the data, but there should be a mechanism that which user basically should see which data and who will not see every data, like that kind of architecture there, and that kind of control you want to keep. So all those set of commands which come under the data control language. Then once you have system everywhere, then sometime you need to keep a log on the data, or sometime you need to keep sometime you need to roll back the data, sometime you need to commit the data based on some condition. So that time the set of commands come under one part called as a transaction control language. Let's talk about individual and let's see what are the different command comes under those language. So for let's start with DDL. So in the DDL we have three important command called as a create, alter, drop. Whenever you want to create the object like table, index, views, right, or store procedure, then you need to use a command called as a create. Once the object has been created and you want to change the definition, then you need to use a command called as alter. Once the alteration also done and you think that your work has been done and you want to drop, right, you want to remove it, then you have a command called as a drop, which basically delete the object from the system, right? Then the next set of language is called as a DML. In the DML we have a three important command. The first command is called as insert, which basically used to insert the data, then update, which basically modifies the data, delete, which basically removes the rows from a table, right? So everything basically come under DML. Once the data has been properly loaded, then we have another set of command called as the DQL, that is the data query language, and basically it has only a single command called as select. But to get the data through the select command, we need to have some kind of clauses, and these are important clauses for the select clause. The first clause is called as a select itself, where we need to pass the attribute list. Attribute list means list of column. Then we have a from. In the from, we need to pass how many tables do you have. Then you can just pass the table list with the joins and other stuff. Then whenever you want to filter out the condition data based on some condition, you can just apply the condition here. Then sometime you want to see some kind of aggregated data, then you can just pass the grouping attributed list grouping column. Then based on that grouping you want to apply some condition, then you need to use having, right, and you want to see all the data in some kind of sorted order, then you need to go with the order, right? Next is basically once the data has been loaded, then there should be a mechanism who will see what. So sometimes you want to provide the permission to the user, sometimes you want to revoke the permission from the user, so they should not see whatever you want to see. Sometimes you just want to give permission only for one table, then you need to use the command called as the DCL command. Once sometime the requirement also happens, sometime there should be a mechanism that when the one transaction is going on, when one activity is going on, other one should not touch it, right? So we have a set of transaction command here, like commit, rollback, and save point. Commit means all the changes need to be committed. Once committed, it will be permanent. Rollback, once rollback, it will be just like you won't see that. Those will be just temporary changes. And save point is like set of point within the transaction to which you can later roll back. Like you can create a multiple save point just to roll back those set of changes only. So hope you like our video related with what is SQL and what are the different command of SQL, right? And thanks for watching. Have a great day.